Welcome to today's episode of the Support Insights podcast. I'm your host, Bronte Coyne, Community Manager at Sentisum. Today, my guest is Bronte Coyne, Global Senior Customer Experience Manager at Unity. We're going to be talking about scaling support in a hypergrowth business. Thank you very much for joining me today, Bronte. It's lovely to have you.
Thanks for having me.
So would you mind giving me a little bit of an introduction on you, your role, your background?
For sure, yeah. I am currently heading up the customer experience team at Unity. I'm based in our Brighton office, but the team spans over sort of 5 locations all across the world. I have been at Unity for 8 years next February. So I started off in an agent role when there were 4 of us, then became a lead and a regional manager, and then on to the role that I'm in now. Our team is currently, I think, about 35-ish. So massive growth over the past few years.
Yeah, absolutely. Hence the title of this podcast. Unity saw a 40% ticket increase in 2020 and then another 20% in 2021.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Busy times.
Huge amount of growth, especially during what was a really uncertain sort of pandemic state for the world. How did your team adjust to handling that?
I think the pandemic was a little bit of a catalyst for the increase itself, but it also had a massive impact on how we handled the increase as well. So I think our priorities shifted in some sense. The challenge was not only an increase in ticket volume, but also people had to adjust to working from home as well. So it was more about thinking on ways that we could work together online and ways we could communicate and stay connected. So making sure we had daily stand-ups and using chat channels to replicate the kind of conversations we'd be having in the office as well. And I think for me, that was the most important thing during that time, having those channels of communication and having that team culture in place, regardless of what is thrown at you, whether it is a really high ticket increase or a pandemic, you kind of are set in a place where things are going to be easier if you have those things. And I guess more on the sort of task-based side of it, prioritization was important, making sure that users who were blocked from using our products or had time-sensitive issues were seen to first. And then I guess as well, hiring new people and getting them onboarded and upskilled as quick as we could.
And hiring the right people as well, I imagine, only enables you to keep that quality up while you're dealing with that quantity as well.
Yeah. Hiring the right people is definitely important. And we have a real sort of varied background on our team, which I think contributes to us providing a good service. Everyone kind of brings their own thoughts and views and experience to the team. And that, I guess, keeps it exciting, but also means that you're not hiring carbon cutouts of people to fit something that you want.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You need to have a mixture of all different personalities, working styles, for them all to kind of feed into each other and bounce off each other in the right way. That's, I think, the best thing about support teams. They're usually so muddled with so many interesting people.
Yeah, they really are. It's really cool. We've got an amazing team. And I think as well, like, it can be tough being on the front lines, and very much when we were in the office, everyone kind of relied on each other for a bit of like relief. If you got a more challenging case through or a difficult situation from a customer, you could vent it out or ask each other for advice.
Definitely. You can normally just have a little bit of a vent or a panic or, oh, someone, can you quickly help me with this? And in an office environment, and it makes it a lot easier. But that increase that you had as well, that's quite a substantial increase, 40%, that's huge. So it would have obviously taken time to hire people to keep up with that increase. You said that the way you sort of managed that was in prioritizing the time sensitive issues that were coming through. How did you identify and prioritize those time sensitive tickets?
It was just about sort of looking through and being like, is a user's account blocked? Are they blocked from paying for the product that they want to get set up and using? Also, we have sort of a prioritized service for our paid users as well, for our pro and enterprise users, which means that they get a response within 24 hours as well. So that was kind of another way to prioritize also.
That's a good way of doing it. So you're already segmenting people into your sort of almost VIP customers, your paid customers, so that you can pick those up quickly.
Yeah, and I think, you know, all users' issues are important, but kind of like adding, I guess, a certain level of service for our paid users seemed like a natural sort of progression.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. So you utilize self-service at Unity quite a bit, I believe. How have you structured your knowledge centre to help make support more efficient for customers?
We've kind of been building our knowledge base up over sort of past 5 or 6 years, I believe. I would by no means say it is perfect, but it is actually something that I'm proud of the team for. The number of articles we have is, I think, 600 or over, and like ever growing. And we have like a small knowledge base admin team who really deal with the writing and the maintenance of it and onboarding new products, not new information that we need. Currently, we're piloting KCS to streamline the process and kind of get the knowledge base, I guess, working as best as it can. And also that process aligns with, you know, building internal knowledge as well and fact checking and keeping it all in one place. So making sure that if users are having problems, if we're seeing it multiple times, that we're sending them the right answers, essentially, and that each team member is constantly double checking that is the correct information. One other thing with self-serve that we're implementing currently is an AI bot to allow users to self-serve in a sort of more personal way and get the answer that they need in that moment, whilst also being directed to a team member if that's what they would prefer.
So building out a knowledge centre is something that's quite difficult because your product changes all the time. The right way to structure those resources improves all the time, and it is something really difficult to stay on top of. But Unity's software, from what I understand it's super powerful. People use it for so many different awesome things. So I imagine that's got to be quite a thorough chunk of information that you store in there.
Yes. Yes, it is. Generally, my team is responsible only for non-technical. Other support teams do sort of dip in with some more technical articles for common user issues. In terms of new products and new use cases, we have kind of like an onboarding flow to the knowledge base that is part of our prerequisites for us taking on support of a new product. So it's very much prioritized in that process to make sure that users do have the ability to self-serve, and sometimes that the team also have like a go-to document that they know houses the information that they can look over, but that they can also send to a user for more clarity of what resolution they're giving.
Brilliant. A lot of times customers will want to be able to maybe find the answer themselves. So if you've got that in a well-structured knowledge centre, that's only going to help things, especially in a business like yours that's growing so fast.
Yeah. And it's, I guess, like sometimes you do feel like you're playing catch up a little when it is moving so quickly. But as I was saying earlier, it's like the knowledge base admins who onboard and create those initial articles for new products or new services are brilliant when it comes to that, because they also manage that on top of their own ticket load as well.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about trying to promote that natural flow of conversation and of being able to lean on one another in support while they were working from home. What kind of things do you do to promote your really strong team culture in a fast growing business?
I think for me, it's about like the building relationships part of it and like fostering a culture where people trust each other to do the right thing. And I would say as well, our team specifically is kind of built on lightheartedness and humor. We try not to take ourselves too seriously. We obviously take our job seriously, but with each other, make sure that we're connecting on other levels that aren't necessarily work related as well. So for example, I think I was saying earlier, in the UK, we have a daily stand-up every day, catch up what people did at the weekends, like what people are watching, have a bit of a laugh. The manager in Colombia, he also runs sort of like value sessions that have a specific topic, and the team get to share their opinions on certain things. I was in Colombia actually last month, and he used music videos to tell a story of aging. And then we all spoke about what like moment stuck out in the story and what it meant to us. And it was just interesting to see like everyone's different perspectives on something that is kind of so unrelated to like the day-to-day job, but also related to the values that we hold highly here. I think in general, from a management perspective, I think leading by example is important. Sticking to what you say you're going to do, and also being accountable when you mess up, because although we all like to think that we wouldn't or that we don't a lot, it does happen, and you kind of have to be straight up about that. And I think if you do that, it shows that it is okay to do that. And then I think people are more transparent about what they're doing and what perhaps isn't working in the team as well, kind of feel more open to suggesting and putting their ideas forward as well.
That's awesome, because that's only going to encourage that motivation for improvement. If people are aware of their mistakes and they're ready to own them and look at ways to do better, then that's only going to help with improving processes and knowledge and ways of working going forward.
Yeah, agreed. And at Unity, we kind of have a shared language around leadership skills that all employees take part in. It kind of gives you a blueprint for success, and to like have specific conversations and provide feedback. And that's been really helpful in how the team work and align.
That's awesome. So as technology is constantly evolving and changing, how do you set yourselves up to keep up with learning and be ready for more growth in the future?
So I think for me, it's about being open and curious about change, and kind of knowing that it's going to happen. In terms of setting yourself up, I think it's about listening to those around you, feedback from the team about what's not working, and then exploring sort of fixes and ways to move forward from there, because they're ultimately the people on the front line, seeing the customer queries coming through, working along sort of processes that have been created, being open to changing not only a process, but the way you're being trained or being coached on a certain product or service, and perhaps even clarity around job scope as the role evolves through that period of change. I think as well, knowing that change doesn't necessarily happen overnight, but it's about thinking kind of like a year in the future. Like, how can you scale and set yourself up for success whilst building your people and also putting your customers first? It's kind of like finding that triad balance.
Joe, I found that so interesting what you've just said about sort of growing and changing and evolving the way you work as a centre as technology evolves and as your product evolves. I don't know about your experience, but from my experiences when I used to be an agent, there's so many instances where the ways of working within the centre, they just remain the same year after year. The measures of success, the KPIs, the way you receive information, send information, it just stays the same. And that just seems mad to me now. Now I'm exposed to the world of technology, I know how much things do change.
Yeah, I think as you described there, I feel like it can get quite stagnant. And I feel like when nothing changes, people feel demotivated. And ultimately, you're not like pushing for better as a team and to provide a better service for your users as well. And in, I guess, terms of technology specifically, as I kind of mentioned earlier, we're implementing an AI bot this year for sort of frequently asked questions. And when I was kind of looking into it, I was wondering if the team would feel anti it. But actually, I've had some feedback, and people are excited to see how advanced the tech is and how personal we can make it as well. Because I thought the biggest fear would maybe be around support being inaccessible. But what's great about the technology is that we can build it out to be accessible for users to self-serve, but also to speak with us as well. I think it is great how you can kind of build tech into your existing workflows to improve them. And yeah.
Absolutely. And the key to using a good AI chatbot is having a good knowledge base. And you obviously set up your knowledge base. You have people who specialize in keeping on top of that. So I imagine that's going to definitely feed into how you steady your cases, how you keep users being able to self-serve while keeping that really high quality service.
Yeah, it's all about sort of like interlinking it all. And I would say with the bot as well, like the knowledge base is a massive part of it, but also building out our own flows too. And being able to add that personal touch, but which really, really important to us when we were thinking through this channel.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any tips for other companies who are trying to scale their support in periods of their growth?
Yeah, I think that the first one is sort of keep cool. And when we were speaking earlier about change, I think I said like change doesn't happen overnight, and especially in management, letting your team know as well that there is also only so much they can do. You don't want them overworking, becoming stressed and burning out. That's not going to help them, you, the service, the company. It's completely backwards in my opinion. I think as well, hiring the right people and having like an airtight onboarding plan to get people up to speed quickly also is helpful for when you're growing super fast. I mentioned earlier prioritization as well, not only in terms of customer questions, but I guess within companies on the sort of support end of things, you're always going to have people knocking on your door to take more on. There's always something more to support when you're growing quickly. So prioritizing correctly, onboarding new products, new topics that need supporting, and pushing back when your team capacity isn't ready or the timeline doesn't fit, I think is important, within reason.
Definitely. What are your measures for success in your support centre?
Actually, this year we kind of gone through a tiny bit of a transition because I feel like support KPIs are helpful, but you kind of only have a sample of the customer base that you're speaking with. If you send 2,000 surveys out and get 500 back, that's only a sample. And asking a customer whether they're satisfied or dissatisfied, sure, gives you an indicator of their happiness. But potentially, if they are dissatisfied, it doesn't really give you many answers of why. There's obviously the topics and tickets that frequently come up as dissatisfied that you acknowledge and you're like, cool, a change needs to be made there. I think as well, sort of time to resolution, which is a sort of traditional support KPI as well. Again, great, but we kind of know that if the time to resolution is high, people are going to be annoyed and more dissatisfied with the service. So I guess at the moment, kind of in the realms of thinking about what are the KPIs that we can track that are really telling of how our users feel and will have the most impact on our service and what we can improve about it. I guess I don't have the answers right now, but it's something we're going to kind of be thinking about going into next year.
I may have the answer for that one there, Bronte, but I won't. This is a sales pitch.
Keep me on my tender hooks.
It's really interesting you say that you're aware of the connection between things like CSAT and other indicators that could impact that. My last episode, I spoke to Clements from Bitpanda. He was saying that they would monitor sentiment in one area of their dashboard, and then in another, they'd have Bitcoin price so that they could compare the two, because they found that when Bitcoin price was crashing, the sentiment was following it with like a 2-week delay. So that way they know, okay, Bitcoin price is going down, our users are about to be annoyed.
They're feeling pretty annoyed.
Yeah, pretty annoyed. Yeah. How can we set ourselves up to handle that? I think that's super interesting, looking at those as a piece, but not a full picture.
Yeah, I think data is super important and numbers are super important, but I don't think they ever give you the full picture. I feel like you always need to analyze them and put sort of like a human element to numbers.
Yeah, you got your objectivity and your subjectivity, and you need a bit of a mesh of the two.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining me on today's podcast, Bronte. It's been lovely talking to you and learning about all the stuff you've been doing at Unity.
My pleasure. It's been lovely to be here with you as well. Thank you for having me.